welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still coming to you live from the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization here in Old Cairo, and still with you live in this edition of Nile Cruise. Now, the museum here is the only one in the North African country to present the full range of richness and diversity of Egyptian civilization through the ages. The museum actually portrays the Egyptian contribution to the world civilization in a way that extends beyond what is visible to include information about knowledge, skills, and values. Now, the core exhibition covers all the Egyptian civilization from prehistoric times to the present time. For more about restoration activities here in the museum, we're joined by Mr. Mohamed Waheed, restoration specialist at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Thank you, Mr. Waheed, for being with us.
Thank you. First, I would like to extend my greetings to all of you here in our NEMIC, or National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Here we are swimming in the depths of civilization.
I like that.
Thank you.
Swimming in the depth of civilization.
Yes.
Beautiful. Sir, the Egyptians are proud indeed to witness the fact that their country was a pioneer in philosophy, architecture, medical sciences, arithmetic, and astronomy, as well as civil achievements. And it was the first nation to have established an agricultural system on the banks of the Nile. Of course, the first to have had a central government, among many, many other achievements. What are the collections that you are most proud of here? I know this is a difficult question, and I know this will make you biased maybe, and you don't want to be biased, but there are some items that you must be that you cherish more than the others. So could you talk to us about that? Stuff that you might have worked in restoring, perhaps.
I will talk with you in this thing here in our National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. It is from prehistoric of Egyptian civilization to the present time. Okay, the collection of our NEMIC, we collect all of them from the archaeological sites storage and from all the museums in Cairo or in the government. Yes, Luxor, Aswan, or in Atfi, Helwan. From prehistoric to the present time, we will show everything. Also, we have the royal mummies. Will show it here in our museum.
Yeah.
And also we have 6 galleries talking about the Nile and the writing in ancient Egypt. That's it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Mr. Waheed, I'd like to know more from you about the restoration department here in the museum, the activities carried out and its tasks.
In our museum here, we have very good staff of conservators, and we have 2 ways to talk about the conservation work here in our museum. In museum and out museum. Firstly, out museum, we are going for in a groups to such as Egyptian Museum and collect the artifacts, monuments, and every object belongs to our museum. And in our groups, we can doing some backing of these objects and put it in qualified boxes of wood and bring it to our museum to show it in the exhibition areas here in our museum. In the other side here in our museum, after coming to it, we firstly from the platform to the anoxia and to making first aid for all the collections we bring it to it.
Right. Mr. Waheed, what are the artifacts that need most of your attention and care that you have here?
Nowadays, we in our efforts do all our efforts here in our museum. Me and my colleagues here to save and conserve every collect or every object, bring it to the museum. Like mummies, the collection of سنجم King Amenhotep الثاني, King Thutmose 14. Yes.
Mr. Waheed, what are the latest techniques used for restoration here at the museum?
In our museum, we have very specialist labs. I think about 3,000 meters, especially in different ways, the kind of materials of the artifacts, in pottery, in stones, mummies, wood, so on.
Right. Mr. Waheed, what are the pieces that you recently successfully accomplished to restore?
Here in our
Yes.
I think nowadays we have the receiving artifacts unit, including the labs of first aid treatments, do every work in it. I think very soon we will open the every galleries of labs and scientific labs also in our museum.
Sir, I'd like to know from you, does your work or your technique differ according to the era of the artifacts?
Yes, of course. Every object we have here is different in the condition from one to one. Wood different from pottery, different from stones. That when I come to restore one of them, I but firstly a condition report to it to this this different from this.
Yes. Mr. Waheed, does the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, the NMEC NEMEC, establish cooperation in restoration with other foreign museums?
In other foreign museums and in other foreign organizations.
Right.
Yes, because
Like,
here
yeah.
the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization is the first museum of civilization in Arab world and in the Middle East. So that every foreign museum, every foreign organization hurry up to make a cooperation with us, not we.
Great.
Yeah, sir, from your work, now the ancient Egyptians made significant developments when it comes to the extraction of metals from their ores, especially copper and gold. What are the artifacts that you worked on that reflect how skillful they were in such a thing?
Egypt is one of the oldest countries in the earth. Old Egyptian or ancient Egyptian means make everything from everything. Indeed, they make from metals such as copper and metal and gold, like jewelries, like jewelries also, but it in the mummifications with the mummy. That's it.
Mr. Waheed, the Egyptians developed a writing surface from papyrus plant. And I wanted to ask you how, of course, and that must have had a big role, influenced history, the world history at large. How do you work to conserve such precious writings? I mean, what is it that you do when you have a writing that you want to conserve, and what writings do you have here?
In NEMEC, in our labs here, we have a scientific labs for papyrus, and this is very sensitive material that need to work very carefully.
Yeah.
Sir, now the ancient Egyptians were pioneers in chemistry and physics. How does the museum showcase their achievements in those fields?
Here in the
Mathematics.
Mathematics and
yeah.
astrology as
Yeah.
well.
oriented the showcase of physics and chemistry from ancient Egypt. Yes?
Yes.
In ancient Egypt, use very kind of materials in physics and chemicals, and such as in mummification processes. Now when we will collect the royal mummies from the Egyptian museum to show it in the galleries here in our Nemek, we have a very professional labs for mummification and mummies, and they will show us after some scientific researches what is the chemistry and the physics that used in it.
I wonder, Mr. Waheed, if you feel that the enemy sea is not covered enough in the media, or is not receiving enough visitors for some reason or another. I don't know that reason.
Here
But we
in
want to know how do you feel about that? How do you plan to attract visitors? Is it open to the public? And talk to me about anything that has to do with the audience, because I'm sure that many people, be it Egyptians or foreigners, would like to come here and must come here.
I think every Egyptian nowadays must come to search about its civilization. Civilization is start from here, from our Nemek, because this is the first one, not in Egypt, in the Middle East that I told you before. But I think when we come to continuous opening of our galleries and all the museum, many visitors come not just for show this object to someone. No. We search here about the civilization. How come? From what? Everything about it.
Sir, I'm interested to know what types of objects you work on when it comes to restoration here in the museum. What types of objects? Pottery, for example?
Pottery, yes, I work on it, and our work here nowadays, especially in packing and transportation of all the objects belongs to our museum to show it in the new soon exhibitions. I think very soon.
I know, Mr. Waheed, that you offer here at Nemek documentary films that showcase Egypt's civilization throughout the ages. I wonder if you have documentary films about restoration, and if not, if you intend to do so,
We do
people
it.
to watch you, people would be, they want to learn.
Yes.
So is this available, or are you planning to do that?
We have a small a bit of this. We have a bit of this, some films about restoration, and also about backing, because of here my colleagues here working also in wood, stones, pottery, to show it in the exhibitions area here in our Nemek.
So we're going to have that, or you do have that?
I will.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Sir, mummification is one of the greatest secrets of the ancient Egyptian civilization. Do we have a certain part here at the museum dedicated to showcasing the secrets of mummification?
Here in our National Museum,
How is the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, the NMEC, in your view, different from the from the Egyptian Museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, the Islamic Museum, or the Coptic Museum, and so on?
Here in our NEMEC, our National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, different from all of this because we have here a view. We have here a thinking in how the civilization meet, how the civilization come. Because of Egypt illuminated all the earth from its civilization. From here in our NEMEC, we show it and present it to all the world.
The vision.
Yes.
How many artifacts have been restored and showcased here at the museum?
Here about 50,000. 50,000, I think now we have...
They all required restoration?
No. We have saved or in it in the storage area here. We have very sensitive and safety storage here, about 7,000 meters, different from the kind of the materials of the monuments. We have a huge stones, small stones, storage, pottery collections, different from us.
Right. And I wonder, because again, the vision is what makes this museum perhaps distinct from others. How do you get to choose the themes for exhibitions, for instance? Because you could have, dozens of themes, hundreds of themes. I mean, the Egyptian civilization is so rich. So
yes.
how do you get to make the decision here and choose the themes of the many themes that you could choose?
Here
Endless
we have
themes,
a very professional group for the ceremony of the exhibitions, from professors and very professional group. Does it don't save its efforts and spend a lot of time to collect this behind this, to show the photo of the civilization in the end.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mohamed Waheed, restoration specialist here at the National Museum of Egyptian
Thank you.
Civilization.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir,
Thank
for
you.
being with us
Thank
today
you.
now.
Thank
Cruz.
you. You are
It's been a
welcome.
pleasure.
We are
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The National Museum of Egyptian Civilization is situated in Old Cairo, next to Babylon Fortress. It overlooks Ain al-Sira, in the heart of the historic city of Al-Fustat in Old Cairo. The Civilization Museum's foundation stone was installed in 2002 for the purpose of making this historic museum one of the world's biggest and richest monumental museums. It is considered the first to be designated for the showcasing of Egypt's prosperous civilization. The National Museum of Egyptian Civilization is considered the first of its kind in Egypt and the Arab world, presenting a comprehensive vision of Egypt's civilization in prehistoric eras until today. The Civilization Museum emphasizes the way Egyptians have adapted and dealt with the lands and waters they have been blessed with throughout history. The museum highlights a number of civilization issues that have been selected to shed light on Egypt's materialistic and non-materialistic heritage.